Imagine your garden at dawn. Borders that catch light like jewelry, paths that tell stories under your feet, and colors that suddenly look richer because the edges frame them perfectly. No contractor, no chaos, just a weekend, a few clever materials, and ideas that turn messy into mesmerizing. Today, we're building borders that make the garden. Welcome to Modhosdi, where ordinary yards become living galleries. If transformations excite you, tap subscribe and ring the bell. Before we dive in, tell us where you're watching from, city and country, in the comments. I love seeing this community map light up around the world. If one of these edges sparked an idea, save this video and share your before/after. Drop the number you'll try first, and if you want a part 2, vertical gardens or fairy path lighting, say the word. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Your garden is a story. Let's frame it beautifully. Imagine a border that doesn't just frame your garden, it sings. Along the path, shards of memory become color. Dinner plates from a yard sale, a teacup with a hairline crack, a saucer that once circled steam. Set into pale grout, their glazes catch the light like confetti after a parade. Every hue sharpens the greens around it. Lavender seems more purple, thyme more silver, marigolds more flame. You don't simply walk the path, you read it, tile by tile, like a cheerful sentence written in porcelain. Run your fingers near the rim and feel time made useful. Imperfect becomes important, broken becomes belonging. In the quiet of morning, the mosaic drinks sunlight and returns it in small, bright sips. By afternoon, it is a ribbon of stories, guiding footsteps, smiling at bees, and reflecting the sky's slow turning. This edge asks for little, just patience, a bit of grout, and the courage to arrange the fragments you already have. When evening comes, colors deepen to velvet, and the plates rest like moons along the soil, holding the line between wild and tended. From here, the garden looks finished, yes, but also freer, as if beauty gained both a frame and a friend. And just around the bend, another idea waits to be set in place. When daylight drifts away and shadows lengthen, the garden exhales. Then, one by one, the bottles wake. Soft orbs of amber, green, and sky blue emerge like captured fireflies, tracing each path and bed in a quiet rhythm of light. The soil beneath them gleams gently, and suddenly the night feels alive, not with noise, but with a kind of breathing glow. Each bottle was once discarded, a vessel for something ordinary. Now it guards the edge of life, plants, petals, the slow hum of crickets. Inside every cork, a solar spark waits patiently all day just to bloom after dusk. It's the garden's second sunrise, the one meant only for those who linger. As you walk between them, your footsteps make no sound. Only light moves, bending and reflecting on dew, painting tiny halos around every flower. The bottles mark boundaries, yes, but also invitations to slow down, to look closer, to notice how even waste can hold wonder. By morning, their light fades into transparency again, humble and invisible until evening returns. They've done their quiet work, guarding the dreamline between day and night, between seen and felt. And as dawn blushes on the horizon, a new border begins to shimmer, one carved not by light, but by laughter and imagination waiting just ahead. Sometimes a garden doesn't need perfection, it just needs a smile. Along this edge, old tires find new life, painted into creatures that seem halfway between toy and sculpture. A blue bunny looks toward the gate, a green frog hides lavender in its belly, and a sleepy hedgehog guards the time. Their round bodies line the path like friendly sentinels, keeping watch over blooms and laughter. Under the noon sun, the colors hum, mint beside rose, coral beside lemon. Rubber that once roared on asphalt now shelters roots and petals, its curves softened by earth. Children stop to point, bees pause mid-flight, and suddenly the garden feels like a storybook turned outward into real life. Each brushstroke you make is a quiet rebellion against waste, a whisper that even forgotten things still have shape, humor, and purpose. By dusk, the critters fade into silhouettes, small shadows that remember play. They've drawn a line, not to divide, but to celebrate where nurture begins again. And as the last ray of light slips over their painted faces, you can almost hear them breathe, a chorus of second chances, humming softly beneath the flowers. stone tells a story, and together they become a path you can read with your eyes and your feet. Along the edge of soil and flower, river stones, once blank, cold, and quiet, now carry small worlds on their curved faces. A butterfly rests forever in mid-flight. A painted cottage glows with a window of gold. Somewhere between time and daisies, a tiny blue door waits for a visitor who never comes, yet always might. The brush remembers every motion, small circles of patience, gentle breaths between strokes. When the paint dries, something intimate remains. Imagination turned tangible. Under morning light, the colors hum softly. Under rain, the varnish glistens like glass, holding stories safe until the sun returns. This border doesn't claim territory, it weaves memory. Each stone keeps a whisper from its painter. Each gap between them lets the garden breathe. As you walk beside it, you may find yourself slowing down, tracing patterns with your eyes, inventing tales for each image. Here, edges are not endings, they're invitations. And somewhere beyond the next curve of the path, a new chapter waits to be painted on another smooth, patient stone. Here, the ocean leaves a gift not of shells, but of time. Driftwood, softened by salt and sun, now standing guard along the garden's edge. Each piece carries a story whispered by waves. How it once floated freely, how it surrendered to wind and shore, how it found stillness again in soil. Together, they rise in rhythm, crest and trough, a silent song of motion made still. Their colors are those of memory, ash gray, bone white, a breath of sand brown. When morning light falls across them, they seem to move, their shadows bending gently like tides across the earth. Flowers lean toward them as if listening, roots nestling in their shade, and every curve feels intentional though none were measured. This edge doesn't ask to be perfect, it already is, in the way that driftwood knows beauty through endurance. You do not install it so much as invite it to stay. With each rainfall, it deepens in tone. With each season, it grows more certain of its place. And when the wind passes through the garden, the driftwood murmurs faintly, reminding you that even what's been lost to the sea can still return to hold the land in quiet grace. Some borders don't need paint or pattern, only patience and the quiet touch of time. Here, stones once carried by rivers find rest in the garden, forming a ribbon that seems to move even while still. Each curve follows the logic of water. Each smooth surface tells of distance traveled, collisions survived, and corners worn kind. Morning light glides over them, silver and soft, tracing what could be the memory of a stream. Between the stones, moss begins to knit green lacework. Petals drift and settle like small boats coming home. There's no boundary here, only a gentle conversation between earth and order. Kneel close, and you'll hear the faintest hum of balance. Hardness beside bloom, gray against color, silence framing song. This edging doesn't divide, it connects between path and bed, between movement and stillness. By dusk, the stones hold the warmth of the day, releasing it slowly into the soil, a quiet echo of the sun's generosity. In a world that rushes, the river stone ribbon stays, a reminder that design can flow without force, and that sometimes the most beautiful line is the one the earth would have drawn itself. Order can be a kind of poetry. Here, rhythm comes not from rhyme, but from repetition, the steady march of red bricks standing shoulder to shoulder, defining the line where wild growth ends and intention begins. Each brick is small on its own, yet together they compose a melody of structure, warmth, weight, and quiet pride. Under sunlight, the clay glows like embers. Under rain, it deepens to mahogany. Between the joints, thin veins of moss trace the story of years. You can feel the echo of old European gardens in every precise seam, the craftsmanship of hands that valued patience more than haste. The flowers above dance freely, knowing the bricks below hold the shape of their stage. Step closer, and the scent of earth mingles with the cool mineral breath of fired clay. It's a conversation between nature and architecture, soft petals framed by solid geometry. When evening comes, the low sun sets the border aflame, a quiet reminder that structure doesn't silence life, it helps it sing in tune. A brick edge is more than maintenance. It's memory in line and form, proof that the simplest materials, arranged with care, can outlast every season's bloom and still look like belonging. trends, corten steel ages on purpose. It begins with brightness, bare, metallic, almost shy, and slowly earns its rust like wisdom gathering over time. Along this garden's edge, the steel ribbon bends softly, holding shape without stealing attention. Its tone, deep amber to burnt sienna, hums gently against the greens and silvers of the plants it frames. Each rainfall writes a new chapter across its surface, streaks of orange, maps of oxidation that no two edges share. In the afternoon sun, it glows like embers, and by dusk, it cools to quiet shadow, blending into the soil's warmth. Here, modern design meets the patience of weather, where corrosion is not decay but decoration. The flowers lean toward its color, as if drawn to its quiet certainty. You can almost feel the dialogue between permanence and change, steel and root, structure and life. It never tries too hard. It simply belongs, both industrial and earthy, refined yet forgiving. This border does more than divide spaces, it anchors them. And as years pass, it becomes not older but truer, whispering that beauty isn't about staying untouched, but about wearing time gracefully, one season's rust at a time. In this garden, silence has a shape, and it's drawn in concrete. A single, slender line runs along the soil like a sentence without adjectives, saying only what's needed. The shadow line edging doesn't shout or decorate, it defines by restraint. Between the brightness of gravel and the depth of earth, it creates a pause, a breath, a quiet boundary that makes color louder and chaos softer. Each segment meets the next with precision, the joints fine as thought. When the morning sun rises, the edge casts a thin gray whisper of shade, changing through the day as if the garden were breathing in slow motion. Flowers above it seem more vivid for the simplicity below. Green becomes greener, bloom becomes bolder. Concrete ages gently here, its smoothness taking on the patina of rain, the fingerprint of seasons. What begins as architecture becomes atmosphere. It is the border that teaches the eye to rest, to find beauty not in excess, but in balance. By dusk, the shadow line blurs into evening, disappearing into the gray between light and dark. The plants take over, the air cools, and the line remains, unmoving, essential, perfect in its stillness. Some borders don't just shape a garden. They scent it, season it, and make it sing. Here, the edge breathes green and fragrant. Rosemary for courage, thyme for warmth, lavender for calm. Together, they form a living boundary that hums softly when the wind passes, a wall that is more whisper than fence. Each sprig carries purpose beyond beauty. When brushed, the air fills with the sharp sweetness of sun and soil. Bees drift through like slow confetti, and the hum of life becomes part of the garden's pulse. Over time, the herbs knit themselves together, soft where wood would be hard, alive where concrete would be cold. Morning light turns every leaf into silver lace. Rain beads along stems like tiny glass pearls. You can harvest the border as easily as you admire it. A snip for dinner, another for tea. It's a design that feeds both body and mind, reminding us that form and function can share the same breath. By evening, the scent deepens, settling around the stones and flowers like a lullaby. The garden rests, edged not by walls, but by generosity, living proof that the most beautiful boundaries are the ones that give something back. Listen closely, this border has its own voice. With every step, gravel murmurs like soft rain underfoot, a rhythm both soothing and alive. On either side, reclaimed wood lies quiet and steady, its grains carrying the memory of old beams and forgotten fences. Together, they form a dialogue between movement and rest, between what's new and what's endured. The timber rails hold the path's intention, guiding the wanderer gently, never strictly. Moss creeps up the sides. Tiny weeds find courage in the seams. Even imperfection adds to the beauty. Each scar on the wood, each uneven stone, tells of touch and time. When sunlight filters through leaves, the gravel sparkles. When dusk falls, it glows faintly, remembering warmth. It's a border made not from precision, but from honesty, a texture you can hear as much as see. The path feels handmade, human, familiar. Here, the garden invites pause. Sit. Let the sound of your own footsteps mingle with bees and breeze. In a world built on noise, a gravel and timber edge speaks in whispers, grounding you in the simplest truth, that beauty often begins with what others leave behind, and that every reclaimed thing, once given purpose again, learns how to shine quietly. Some edges whisper refinement without effort. Iron curves meeting climbing blooms, strength wrapped in softness. Along this border, the mini wrought iron fence stands like lace made from shadow and steel. Between its slender bars, vines climb slowly, weaving green script across the black metal. Every curve, every leaf, tells a small story of partnership, architecture, and nature learning to dance. In morning light, dew clings to the iron's cool skin, turning each spear tip into a droplet of glass. The fence does not confine. It frames a quiet gesture that gives chaos a rhythm. Flowers spill gently through its gaps, the wild meeting the well-made, the untrained finding a pattern to grow within. As the day warms, shadows of scrolls fall over petals, a delicate tattoo that moves with the breeze. By evening, when roses exhale their perfume and ivy curls tighter, the metal glows faintly bronze, like memory under sunset. This border endures because it listens. It holds beauty without owning it. It invites both order and overgrowth, proving that elegance isn't about control but coexistence. A garden edged with wrought iron doesn't just look tended, it feels composed, like music paused between notes, ready for the next bloom to take the stage. Who said sustainability can't be playful? Along this border, color meets conscience. The recycled plastic curve winds through the garden like a ribbon of optimism, soft, flexible, and bright enough to make even the marigolds jealous. Its surface gleams under sunlight, proof that discarded things can still catch the light beautifully. The curves feel spontaneous, like laughter drawn in line form. Yet beneath the charm lies purpose, keeping soil tidy, roots protected, and the lawn contained, all while saving plastic from the landfill. Every hue has its own mood: turquoise for calm, coral for warmth, lime for cheer. Together, they form a living palette that changes as the sun moves overhead. Touch it, and you'll feel its strength, light but steady, bending yet unbroken. Rain slides off its skin, frost leaves no scar. In a world of waste, this edge is a small rebellion, proof that creativity and care can coexist. When twilight falls, the colors deepen into jewel tones, glowing softly against the darkening soil. It's modern without losing soul, practical without losing play. A border that doesn't just mark where the garden begins, but where the future can, too. Order and chaos rarely agree, but here, they've made peace. Inside the steel veins of each Gabion mini edge, fragments of glass and stone lie side by side. Structure and spontaneity, light and weight, ruin and renewal. The wire holds them steady, yet the contents pulse with color. Emeralds, ambers, grays, like a kaleidoscope frozen mid-turn. Sunlight finds its way through the mesh, breaking into shards of brilliance that spill across the soil. By dusk, the pebbles glow softly, the glass remembering the day's warmth. You can see the story of recycling in every glint, bottles once forgotten, now refracting light instead of waste. Each cube feels both industrial and intimate, hand-assembled yet architectural. The border hums with contrast, raw steel against fragile transparency. It doesn't hide the mix, it celebrates it, proving that balance isn't sameness, it's coexistence. In rain, the Gabion sings quietly, drops tapping metal, pooling in stone hollows. It's a rhythm of renewal, the sound of something being reclaimed into beauty. This edge does not just contain the garden, it completes it, a small monument to transformation. And as twilight fades, the bottles catch the last glow, shimmering like captured dusk, reminding you that even the broken can become the border between earth and wonder. Along this border, sunlight becomes color. The broken tile mosaic tells no single story, it sings in fragments. Blue from an old plate, white from a chipped vase, ochre from a floor that once echoed footsteps. Now, together, they frame the soil like laughter frozen in pattern. The cracks are deliberate, the irregularities part of the rhythm. In their union, imperfection feels whole. Each shard catches the day differently. Some glow, some wink, some sleep until the light shifts again. The scent of rosemary drifts nearby, mingling with heat from sun-warmed clay. When you pass, you hear a faint crunch of gravel and the whisper of color meeting earth. This edging doesn't hide its scars, it flaunts them. It's proof that design doesn't have to begin with newness, it can begin with memory. Under rain, the tiles darken to deep cobalt and rust, like a mural retold in water. Under moonlight, they pale to soft bone and pearl. It's the border of the Mediterranean spirit, sunlit, generous, unapologetically human. A place where every piece, once broken, now belongs to something larger, something that shines not despite its cracks, but because of them.